And I'm back. So the first presentation I'm going to cover in this video presentation format will be a full Fieldbus Technology product overview. So we're going to be covering kind of all the different products that the Fieldbus division covers. We're going to talk about what is Fieldbus, some of the Turck distributed I/O products, RFID products. We're going to go a little bit into safety, and we're going to talk about advanced programmable systems. And then lastly, we're going to dive into tools and configuration, and also some accessories. So let's get to it. Okay, like I said before, I kind of mentioned the agenda a little bit before, but division overview is the first thing we're going to cover. So here's a division overview. The first thing I want to mention is that we have territory Fieldbus Technology BDMs. They're fantastic resources. They're highly technical Fieldbus Technology experts with a ton of experience with all sorts of different applications. So if you have customers that are working on an application that might need Fieldbus Technology products, be sure to keep your Fieldbus Technology BDM in the loop on it. Another great asset too is that they could actually visit the customer as well. So be sure that you know who your Fieldbus Technology BDM is, and then also have their contact information. For that contact information, I'm going to show you where to find that in the Turck app. It's all located there. A little bit about the product management team. The product manager and product specialist for the I/O system products. So think your block and modular I/O, I/O link, and field logic controllers. It's going to be Dan Klein and Mark Fisher. For advanced programmable systems, your code assist devices that we're going to cover in this training, safety, cloud, Ethernet switches, and then interfaces. The product manager for that is going to be Roberto Solis, and product specialist is Raymond Wenzel. For RFID, IP67, power supplies, network junctions, and BL Compact, the product manager for that is going to be Don Eichmann, and the product specialist used to be me, but they're going to fill that role up pretty shortly. So we'll keep you in the loop on that. We also have a full team of product engineers who have specialties in all of these different technologies who are able to provide high-level technical support. So usually when you have a technical question, I really recommend you first reach out to our application engineering team, and then they'll know how to put you who to put you in contact with on the Fieldbus Technology team if it requires a little bit more technical expertise and a little more help. Okay, so kind of discussing what is Fieldbus. Traditionally, going back to a PLC or programmable logic controller, the traditional wiring method is that they would have separate wires for each device in the field, and the devices would be connected to individual points on PLC cards in the control cabinet. As you can see, that's a lot of wiring, a lot of cabling. So each field device that's going back to a PLC, it's a lot. So not only is this expensive for the cabling, it's actually expensive for installation as well. And not only that, it most likely be more downtimes as well due to the fact that troubleshooting something like this with all these different cables and connectors and wires on the left-hand side, it's going to be more difficult to troubleshoot for sure as opposed to a Fieldbus network. So on the right is kind of what Turck specializes in. It's a Fieldbus network. So instead of having each field device wired directly back to a PLC, it goes through these Fieldbus I/O devices, or these block I/O or modular I/O devices that are connected to the Fieldbus or connected to these field devices, and then a single connection point, usually by maybe an Ethernet cable or some other communication protocol, going back directly to a PLC. So it's a lot more efficient. As you can see, it's a lot less wiring. The troubleshooting is much easier, and it's also going to be a lot cheaper. So the next thing we're going to cover is Turck distributed I/O. That's going to be our next thing to cover. So Turck distributed I/O. So Turck has developed a kind of under the hood technology. Our distributed I/O products are all multi-protocol. So they're going to be available in the three encapsulate the three different Ethernet protocols. So Ethernet IP, Modbus TCP, and Profinet. And also going to be available in flexible topology types, so star topology, line topology, and ring topology. Okay, so what is our distributed I/O products? Firstly, it's going to be our in-cabinet modular. So let me show you kind of what an in-cabinet modular solution looks like. So this right here is our BL20. And so with modular, the key thing you're going to want to consider is flexibility. So our modular I/O, this is the BL20, so it's going to be an IP20 solution. So BL20, IP20. And so this is designed to be in cabinet. Because it's IP20, it's not resistant to things like dust and liquid, so it has to be in some sort of cabinet. But the key thing is here is you have flexibility. So you have your field devices, your sensors in your application going back to these I/O cards. And you select your I/O cards depending on the type of field device you're using. So if you're using discrete inputs or analog inputs, you select the corresponding card, and then you constantly expand, the modules depending on kind of what you're needing. So you could constantly plug in modules to fit the application that you're using. So the key thing here is going to be flexibility. You're going to have a great deal of flexibility for on-machine. And so as you can see here, just to cover it, you have usually an Ethernet cord set right here that you plug in. So here's an Ethernet cable, and you plug this right in here, like so, and this will go back to your PLC. So this is in-cabinet modular, your BL20. On-machine modular, you're gonna have something like this. This is our BL67. Same identical premise to the BL20. It's almost identical. So this is a more ruggedized solution. So it's a BL67. It's going to be IP67. So BL67, IP67. That's how you remember it. So it's going to be resistant to liquids, dusts, buildup. So it's designed to be on machine. It's very rugged. So very similar to the BL20. You can constantly expand it. And the key thing is here is it's connectorized. So this is a sensor here. It's a small little capacitive sensor, and it just plugs right in to one of these modules, to one of these connectors here. So it's connectorized. And so you have your field device connected like this, and then you have a cable going back to your PLC. So this is an Ethernet cable. This teal jacketed cable is an Ethernet cable that goes back to a PLC. For in-cabinet block, we have solutions like this, hardwired into these screw terminals. It's very compact. Two different versions of this. We have this size, and then we also have a larger size. It's about twice the size of this, the FEN 2016 DXP. For on-machine block, we have devices like the TVEN large. So this, again, think on machine, it's going to be IP67. This one's actually IP69K, so it's resistant to liquids, dust, a very rugged solution designed to be on machine. And we also have our BL compacts. Yeah, so like I said before, covering it again with the BL20s, key things to cover, it's that it's expandable, so you can pull out the modules, clamp them back in, and you're good to go. It's expandable, flexible, and also very economical. Similarly with the on-machine modular, it's rugged. It has that flexibility, so you could select the right I/O card for the application depending on the type of field device you're using. So you'll have a high degree of flexibility. You can expand it. So this is your I/O card, and you select this based on the type of field device you're using in the field. And the one major concern I see with a lot of people with the modular stuff, like the BL20 and the BL67, is it can be a little intimidating at first to figure out how do you select the right part numbers for all these different components. And the thing I say is not to worry there. We've got some great resources for how to do that. We have a how-to video that shows you to do to select build a BL67 station in minutes. It's not difficult. We use a software called Packware to do it, and it's a breeze. It's really quite simple. As long as you have the software downloaded, you basically give the criteria for what the field devices you're using, what protocol you're using, and it automatically checks and verify that the station part numbers you've selected are compatible, and you're good to go. It creates a station report. And we're going to cover that in the lab, so I'm not going to go into it too much now, but if your concern is about modular, selecting all the part numbers and it being tricky, not to worry. We've got some great tools out there for you. Next thing will be this image here I wanted to show as well, just showing the ruggedness of the BL67. As you can see here, the BL67 is located outside in a process plant. It's, as you can see up here, there's snow. The BL67 is rated for temperatures down to -40 degrees Celsius, so it can survive in the cold just fine. And just to show you, it's exposed to the elements and it holds up just fine to the elements. As I mentioned before, so for selecting the modules for modular I/O options like the BL67 or the BL20, we have a tutorial video called How to Create Station Reports, and that'll help you select all the different components for building a BL67 or BL20 station. The video is about 4 or 5 minutes long, great to follow, and if you have a customer who's trying to build a station report, it's great to send out to them as well. So check it. Be sure to check out that video. It's a good tool to get you started. As I said before, in cabinet block, we have solutions like this. They're very economical, very compact. I mean, you can fit this in your back pocket. It has fixed I/O configuration, so it doesn't have that same level of flexibility as maybe the BL20 or BL67 does. But if you know you're using a certain amount of discrete inputs, it's a great one to have and very economical solution. Let's go into on-machine block now. Whoops, sorry about that. Jumped ahead a little bit. And another thing that's important to mention is that these are also available in all sorts of different protocols, not just your Ethernet protocols. They'll be available in OSI, DeviceNet, multi-protocol Ethernet, like I mentioned before, and Profibus, of all sorts of different solutions. Similar with the block I/O, it'll be available in all sorts of different protocols: OSI, CANopen, DeviceNet, industrial Ethernet, and Profibus. We have this, our TBN-L, it's a TBN large, kind of fixed settings for what you're using. We have a lot of different part numbers depending on the type of field devices you're using and connecting to this. This one's the discrete input version, so it's a TBN-L-16DIP. And selecting blocks and selecting these components, it's good to become kind of well versed in Turck's part numbering scheme. And so I created a video earlier that goes over the My Turck app, and it kind of shows you where to find those part number keys. So if you check out the part number key, it'll help you select the right block for the application. So these are available in your traditional PNP discrete inputs, and also in analog inputs. So your 4 to 20 sensor, maybe you're looking to have a temperature sensor that's a 4 to 20 output going back to this block. We have special technology inputs as well, or technology ports. So we have blocks like this that are RFID channels. So you could have an RFID transceiver going back to a block like this. We also have our BL compact, which is another option, which has a mixture. It's a lot of flexibility, so you could mix and match. You could have a discrete and also analog on the same block, so there's a little bit more flexibility. So we have the BL compacts as well. And that kind of brings me to, with our block I/O devices, both on machine and in cabinet, we have this really amazing software called RG. So RG stands for Really Great Programming Environment. It's a proprietary web-based programming environment that Turck developed that allows you to have simple logic on the block without the need of a PLC. So let me just show you an example here. So take a look at this application. So you can see here, it may not look like much at the beginning, but this is all controlled by a single block, no PLC necessary. So it's a yogurt carton, and there's a small camera here on the right that's detecting if a label is missing or not. And so if a label is missing from the carton, the camera will send an output to this block, this TBEN small, the small little block, and the block has an RG program written onto it. So when the camera detects that there's not a label on the carton, it'll set a timer in the logic on the web-based program environment, and then it'll turn on this air cannon. So let's just kind of watch it again here. Let me just do this. My apologies, having a little bit of technical difficulty. Let's see here. I want to show you the video again, but for some reason it's not working for me. But yeah, so it's for some reason the video file is not going for me on this RG application, but you could review it again once you receive the PowerPoint presentations. But it just demonstrates the power of RG. So this application is not using a PLC. So kind of what's the main benefit of that? A lot of applications are quite simple, and using RG, you could have a block that's acting like a little field logic controller in the field without the need of a PLC. And the big benefit of that is PLCs can often cost on average thousands of dollars. So you could solve an application for hundreds of dollars as opposed to thousands of dollars for a customer. If you ever have any questions, we're going to dive into RG a little bit more. It's going to be a specific presentation on RG, so I don't want to talk about it too much, but it's a huge problem solver, and it really demonstrates a lot of value because it's something that's cheap as opposed to using a PLC. And there's so many powerful tools in RG that are available. So if you become well versed, it's a really cool tool to have in your back pocket to demonstrate to customers. And also with RG, imagine having a little field logic controller about the size of this, fit it in your back pocket, show it in front of a customer, plug it in, launch the web-based program environment, show how many cool different things you can do. It's a really powerful demonstration tool because you have a demo that you could fit in the palm of your hand that's really cool and powerful, that has a lot of power. So we also have a tutorial video for that. So it's called the How to My First FLC with RG. So the RG video goes into the first steps of kind of launching RG, and we go through a very simple application example. So in this application example, I have a sensor here, this little yellow sensor that's counting toy cars, and so it counts 6 cars, and then it turns on this, I'm not sure if you can see it here, but there's a small little banner light. So once it counts 6 cars, it turns on the banner light, and then after 5 seconds the light turns off. So it's just a really simple application to kind of introduce you to RG. The video is 5 minutes long, so it's a good one to check out. Check it out. It's a really cool tool to have, and also to send to customers as well who might be getting started with RG. So Turck RFID, we have a full line of RFID transceivers and tags as well. So kind of and different interfaces too. So like I said, with our blocks, we have RFID channels that can go back to your PLC. We also have it available in modular I/O solutions. So we have RFID slices that are available, and similarly with the BL20, we'll have RFID channel slices, if you will, that allows you to interface your RFID transceiver back to your PLC. So kind of we're going to dive into RG later on in this seminar, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but RFID stands for radio frequency identification. It's the wireless transfer of data for tracking. So a tag is a small device with microchips and an antenna, and that gives them the ability to store and transmit data. Transceiver is kind of the brains of the outfit and reads data on the tags and reads data from the tags and writes data to the tags. So kind of seeing here, you can see it's a BL67, so we've got an RFID channel connected with a cable to these different transceivers, and then you have the tags that you're reading and writing to. So we have the reader, the tag, and the interface, or the key components. Turck has a full line of different transceivers. I want to demo this video. You could watch it when you have time. But transceivers, we have a lot of different transceiver styles and a unique blend of design. So let me just show you kind of a few of the transceivers we offer as an example, just to demonstrate the sheer size. So there's going to be ranges for all of our transceivers and tags. So in general, the larger the transceiver, the larger the range you're going to have for reading and writing data to the tag. So an example would be, we have one that's about this small little guy, like this. You know, the range is not going to be very high in this one, but if you look at, say, this one, this is an HF, our largest HF tag. It's like the size of a pizza box. This one's going to have a much larger range. As you can see, it's massive. And it's not just those. We have different options here, tons of different transceivers to choose from, and we try to match the transceiver for the application. So it's good to get RFID applications are really good to get BDMs involved in, because it just needs some getting started, trying out different transceivers. They could bring in different options to test out for the application. And then I also want to show you some RFID tags that we have. We have a whole variety of different tags, dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of tags to choose from depending on the application. So RFID, we have two different versions that Turck offers. We have HF, which is high frequency, and UHF, which is ultra high frequency. So ultra high frequency tags are typically going to be label tags. So it's something, this is a label tag. An example here, it's usually a sticker, so it has an adhesive on it. And so you could put this on your pallet. I'm going to stick it on myself like this just to show you it's a sticky sticker. But then, and UHF has much longer ranges. So a UHF transceiver, like this one right here, would read and write data to the tag. It's more technical, there's more steps involved, but it has a much broader range than HF RFID. So there's things to consider when you're choosing HF or UHF RFID. It's good, it all depends on the application, whether one's the right fit or not. So it's important to get your BDM involved and give us a call if you have an RFID application for kind of qualifying certain, if it's an application for UHF or HF. But for UHF, typically the range is going to be in meters. For HF applications, typically the range is going to be in inches and feet. So it's not as broad of a range. We're going to dive into more depth on RFID later, but just so you know, we're gonna dive into it. Sorry, here. There we go. We also have Turck VLANT systems. So this is an exciting development for RFID. For the first time ever, since we acquired Turck VLANT or VLANT systems, we're able to provide full RFID turnkey solutions. So full system design, implementation, consultation, implementation, and more. So start to finish, an RFID application where we could bring in whatever is necessary to solve the application and design it for the customer, and then provide them the software, start to finish, turnkey RFID solution. So we consult them, we review the application, and we have full 24/7 support available for the customer as well. This is unique. There's not a single company in the United States that has the same abilities as this. It's a truly unique solution. We're extremely excited. So if you have an application that might need something like Turck VLANT, feel free to reach out to us. Raymond Wenzel is a specialist for VLANT systems, so he'll be a great resource to reach out to if you have any questions on Turck VLANT systems. And so be sure to reach out to him if you have any applications that might require VLANT. So I'm going to go into a little bit of a technology dive here. A really cool product that came out recently is our PD20. So this is our PD20 device, and so basically what it is, you can see there's a small little audio jack here, and it plugs into your phone. So what's the cool thing here is we have an app. Let me just show you it here. I'm not sure if you can see it very well on my phone, but we have a Turck RFID app that's free. And basically what you do is you plug in using this jack here. Using this jack on your PD20, you plug it into your phone on the bottom, and then you launch your RFID app, and it's free, and you can read and write data to tags using the RFID app. What's cool about this is that it's really economical. RFID handhelds typically cost thousands of dollars. This is $500 list price. So it's a mobile UHF reader and writer. The app is free, so if you want to search for the app, if you just go to the App Store or the Google Play Store, you'll find it's available for Android and Apple devices. If you just search Turck RFID, you'll find the app there. The key thing is it's IP20. The exciting development is we have a IP67 more rugged solution coming out soon that uses the same technology. The new development with the PD67, however, is in addition to UHF reading and writing, it'll have HF, and it'll also have barcode. So that's a really exciting new product we have for RFID that's coming out. Another thing is we could do custom apps for this. So if you want an Android device that has a custom app for a customer, we have the ability to create custom RFID apps. So some safety products. We have safety is pretty new to Turck, but it's we're coming a long way. Kyle Hall is a tremendous asset to our team for his expertise in safety. He knows a lot about everything, but he's really specialized in safety in addition to many other things. He's great. So we have IP67 safety hybrid modules. So basically you'll have a mixture of safety inputs and also traditional inputs. So you'll have your safety I/O and also your discrete I/O and on the same block. So kind of what's the benefit of that? A lot of applications would have a safety block with just safety inputs, and then also a traditional block with maybe discrete inputs or whatever inputs they have in the field. It's not a good use of space and also money. It's not very cost effective because a lot of the time they're not using all the safety inputs on the block. So, and they're not using all the discrete or analog or whatever inputs they're using on the traditional block. So we created a hybrid block that uses both safety and traditional inputs on the same block device. So it's much more efficient, saves a lot of money, and it's a unique solution that we're pretty excited about. Okay, so Advanced Programmable Systems. So we're going to do a lot of labs in this training that are going to cover codesys. So you're going to become well versed in codesys and everything. So by now, hopefully, you'll have the codesys downloaded and installed in your PLC, or not your PC, PLC, your PC. It's a free software you could download on the Turck website. So codesys stands for Controller Development System. It's a development environment for controller applications. And it started by a company called 3S in 1995 in Kempten, Germany. Really cool thing about 3S is that they're always investing in R&D to constantly improve the software. I think 75% of their budget it goes back to R&D. So they're always on the cutting edge for creating cool features of code assist. So it's a programming language, and so all 5 PLC programming languages covered by the IEC 61131 spec are included in code assist. So instruction list, structured text, ladder logic, which is probably the most popular, function block diagrams, and sequential function chart are all included. A key benefit for code assist is it's zero cost to customers. Not a lot of PLC softwares can say that, and it's easy to learn and use. We have tutorial videos for it as well. So Advanced Programmable, so the newest iteration is version 3. So the version you should have downloaded is Code Assist 3.5 Service Pack 12. So that's the latest and greatest that we have right now. So we have our programmable, it's available on a few different platforms. So it's available on modular I/O devices like our BL20 and BL67. And a key feature of this technology is that it has the ability it has a USB host. So if you load your Code Assist project, your Code Assist program, onto a USB stick, you could plug the USB stick into your programmable device, and you're off to the races. You don't have to do any installation. You just load it in and it automatically loads. It's a huge benefit. So there's nice improvements with the latest version of Code Assist. There's 2 Ethernet ports available on these 2 different devices. So these are the programmable gateways. So it's a BL67 programmable gateway, which is up to the right, and then the BL20 programmable gateway that's just here to the left. You can see both of them have that small little USB port there, and that's a huge benefit. And the nice thing is too, you have so much flexibility with your PLC program, because you could add the different modules depending on the application. So it's a great, really cool development, is just having that USB feature. It's a real time saver. Also, so Code Assist can be used to program our programmable gateways. It also can be used to program our HMIs, like this one here. So our HMIs have the ability, they're very unique in that they have the ability to act as a traditional HMI, just status indication buttons, but also as a PLC. So these HMIs can act as PLCs as well, which is really cool, and it's programmed using RG. So we have 2 different families for our HMIs. Our latest and greatest is the TX700, which have a beautiful capacitive touchscreen, and we have our TX500. So the way our part number keys work for our TX HMIs is that, so think of it this way: TX507 would be a TX500 HMI 7-inch screen. TX513 is a TX500 13-inch screen. TX520 or 721 would be a TX700 21-inch screen, so a big screen. So that's how our part number keys work. So we have a whole variety of different sizes, all the way up from 5 inches to 21 inches. Very powerful device, A9 processors, a beautiful display, a really nice display that you can use. It's a glass design, really robust as well. The thing I love about the TX700 is the capacitive touchscreen. So it responds just like your phone would, your Android phone or your iPad would. It's very responsive, and that's a huge part of the usability. These are going to be, in the field, they don't want, buttons that don't work. They want it to respond well. The capacitive touchscreens really respond beautifully. Again, with the TX700, you see there's a USB port here at the bottom. So you can load your Code Assist programs at the bottom of your HMI. You just plug in your USB stick in the bottom there, and you're good to go. So this training is going to do a lot with an HMI. So you're going to become well versed in how to program an HMI, set up visualizations, set up little PLC programs, and by the end of this, you should be feeling very comfortable with how to use a Turck HMI, how to download the software. It can be a little intimidating at first, as with something that's more technical, but don't worry, it's understandable at first. If you just follow through the labs, you should have no issues, hopefully. And if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to us anytime. We're here to help. Lastly, with kind of the code assist devices, we have our TBEN PLC controller. Similar housing to this, our TBNL. It's a PLC though, so it could act as a PLC or a master. So it's a really cool device. Another thing, if you want to look into the TBEN PLC, so again, it's a ruggedized solution instead of the block I/O. So it has that broad temperature range, IP69K, negative 40 degree temperature range all the way up to 85 degrees. And then again, it has the USB host on it as well, so you could load programs quickly and easily. But sorry, I got distracted there. The TBN PLC also has a really cool tutorial video. So this is great even if you're not using the TBN PLC, just an introductory tutorial video with code assist. So be sure to check it out. I really highly recommend you view this video. It goes through the installation steps for how to install code assist and then install the package files, and then it shows you how to navigate code assist. So that's a real benefit, how to find which tabs where, how to set up a simple project, how to do some simple logic. In this example, it's me counting cans with this small little capacitive sensor here, counting 5 cans, and then when 5 cans are counted, it turns on an indicator light, this little light here. It changes color, and then you have the ability to reset the counter and reset the light by tapping this other capacitive sensor. So it's a really simple ladder logic example in code assist, but it gets you comfortable with kind of navigating code assist. So check it out. It's 5 minutes long. It's a really cool little video to review. So tools and configuration. Turck Software Manager is a fantastic tool. So kind of where does Turck Software Manager come into play? Fieldbus Technology tends to have a lot of software components a part of it. So Turck Software Manager is a huge time saver in that it clearly displays and updates all Turck software components that are installed in your PC. So if you launch Turck Software Manager, you download it and do a quick scan, it'll find all the Turck software you have on your PC, and it'll check to see if it's up to date and if you need an update. First, it'll also check to see if you have it, and it'll let you know. It really eliminates the need for time-consuming searching and updating individual files. It'll let you know. Before Turck Software Manager, I would get calls, from the field saying something's not right. I think it's a software component. It'd be like finding a needle in a haystack sometimes, because there'd be so many software components installed. It really narrows it down, so it saves you a huge amount of time. So you don't have to uninstall and reinstall everything again. It'll navigate to that specific component, whether it be a package file or a DTM or an IODD for IO-Link. There's all sorts of different software components, and making sure those are up to date is really important. This is huge. So this is a huge thing that you should have downloaded. To download it, you just go to www.turck.com/TSM, so Turck Software Manager, and you'll be able to download it there for free. And then also, it not only checks to see if your software is up to date, it also downloads them. So it downloads them and installs them. So it's an all-in-one device. It's great. We also have a Turck Software Manager tutorial video. So if you want to get started with Turck Software Manager, be sure to check this little video out. It's 2 minutes long, short and sweet. It'll show you start to finish how to download it and how to navigate it. It's 2 minutes long, so it's definitely worth checking out. Another thing we use a lot is tools and configuration is Turck Service Tool. So Turck Service Tool is another free software that we have, and if you click this search button in the upper left here, it'll search for all different Turck devices you have on your network, and it'll display the IP addresses of all those different devices. Another cool thing you could do is you could select a certain IP address or device. It'll give you the device name as well, and then you could wink at it. So you could click this little wink button, that little light bulb, and an LED on the block will start flashing, and so you'll see which block you're connected to. So that's really important if you have maybe a network of dozens of devices and you want to kind of navigate it down, narrow it down to one device that might be giving you an issue. So it'll flash, the LED will start flashing, you'll see it flash very brightly, and you'll be able to wink at it and see kind of which device is which. A lot of cool things that I'm going to display. I'm going to cover this in more detail kind of in the next presentation. There's an actual presentation on each of these tools, and I want to demo them for you as well, but definitely something that's good to have installed. You could also assign IP addresses this way. So instead of using, we have a few ways to assign IP addresses. There's the dip switches, but then also you could assign it in Turck Service Tool, which I think is a little bit better. Personally, it's just a little bit quicker. But yeah, it's great. There's a lot of other different features we could do. You could check the firmware version as well. So under version here, you can see if you have the latest firmware. Sometimes that comes into play. Another thing I'm going to cover later on is the web server. This is great for access to station diagnostics. So all you need to do to launch the web server is to type the IP address of your device into Google Chrome, and it'll launch this web server. And then the next thing you need to do is, if you look in the upper right here, there's a login button. And to log in to the web server, to access everything, you need to type in the password. The password by default for all Turck devices with a web server is password, all lowercase, and you'll be able to access it. You could change the password later on, but a word of caution, it can be tricky if you change the password and you forget. It can be bad news sometimes, so be careful when you're changing the password to be sure to write it down and make note of it, because that can be an issue. So a ton of great information on the web server, access to station diagnostics. So if you're having an issue with a certain block or gateway, you could access the station diagnostics and see what might be going on. It'll give you some information there. You could change the IP address of it. You could even parameterize I/O, so you could parameterize certain ports on a block, on maybe a channel, on an analog channel, on an analog input slice. You could change it from maybe a 4 to 20 to a 0 to 10, depending on what you're using. I'm going to kind of dive into a few different examples of that when I go through the next presentation. And then you could also access the memory map of the device. So for setting this up with your PLC, you could click on the memory map and then map everything to your Allen Bradley PLC or whatever PLC you're using. And then you also have live I/O status, so you could monitor your I/O live, so you could log into your device and see if an input's turning on or off, going back to your device. And then, like I said before, it's also password protected for security, but you could change the password, but just to be careful. So Pactware is kind of a software I mentioned a little bit before. It's good for creating station reports. It's also a great diagnostic tool that we use with Turck's BL67 and BL20 and BL Compact products. You can use it to parameterize the block, so changing configuration like you could on the web server. It's another option to do that. You could read process data. It's great for diagnostics. You could do a reset of a station, so you could do a factory reset. So you could actually do a factory reset from the web server as well. There's two options to do a factory reset on a Turck device, Pactware or web server. And then also a data mapping report. So Pactware is particularly great for creating station reports for BL20s and BL67 modular I/O devices, and it does a data mapping report that makes setting up communication between your PLC and your BL67 or BL20 really easy. And I'm going to kind of show you how to do that later on. I'm going to kind of walk through a station report. But if you haven't checked out the station report tutorial video that's a few slides back, be sure to do that. It's good to review. And then Ethernet port configuration is another thing it can do. Like I mentioned before, there's a how to create station reports with Pactware tutorial video that I really highly recommend viewing. It's kind of goes through an example, shows you how easy it is to do. Be sure to check it out. There's a lot of information you could get from a station report. And once you see it, you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about. It's a really powerful tool, a huge time saver as well. So it's not difficult to learn it. Okay, lastly, some accessories that we offer. We have our full line of different accessories. So we have power supplies, we have network junctions, special adapters. So this comes into play a lot, if you have maybe a BL20 that's in a cabinet and you need to kind of get the communication going back from the field to the cabinet. Certain adapters, like wall plate adapters, that can allow your signal to go through your cabinet and into the field. It's important to have the right adapters for that. So we have all sorts of different options. In addition, we're so lucky at Turck to have the connectivity team who makes a full array of different Fieldbus connectivity options, whether it be Ethernet, Profibus, Modbus, DeviceNet. We have a full line of industrial connectivity for Fieldbus that are available and are in stock. So we're in a kind of a unique and fortunate spot. Our products complement each other so well. So we're very fortunate in that regard. So that's all I had to cover for the Fieldbus training. I'm sorry it must have been a lot. It's a bit of a longer presentation, but it's good to cover, and I think this will kind of give you a good start for the rest of the training. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime, and I'll be more than happy to help. So thank you very much.